Taiwo Egunjobi, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm fine. You are a Nigerian film director with several titles behind you, such as In Ibadan, All Nabibes, Crush Roses, Green Fever, and the latest, The Fire and the Moth, which I have featured in my film section in this channel, and it's absolutely stunning. Taiwo, first, let me congratulate you on your latest work. The journey from In Ibadan to The Fire and the Moth in terms of cinematography and the perceived budget is substantial. It has been a long way. The way the film starts, the music, the colors, the lush green and brown roads, it looks really fantastic. Okay, I imagine that the beginnings must have been difficult, as with anyone. Do you have now all the support you need for your next projects, Taiwo?
Oh, thank you very much for the kind words. Definitely, it's been a journey coming from making no budget films to being able to demand some sort of budget and make the films that I want to make. Definitely, I think significantly because of the types of projects I've done and where the projects are showing. I have a film on Netflix. I have a couple of films on Amazon now. Uh, that means that I have a little bit more leverage when I get into conversations with financiers and angel investors and all of those stuff for people. So I would say significantly more than before. It's not always easy. You still have to fight for every penny. But more than any time before, I'm able to at least have better conversations around what's return on investment going to be. Do you have track record in these things? And so it's easier these days to do than before, definitely.
Excellent. Taiwo, it's inevitable to talk about your work in relationship to Nigeria and Africa. That's something I don't like, but I think we should get it out of the way. Do you embrace the label of African filmmaker or Nigerian filmmaker, or you prefer to talk, as I do, about talent independent of wherever it comes from?
I mean, definitely, because I'm a Nigerian and I'm an African, I have certain viewpoints and positions that I will be able to represent better because I just stay here. I just grew up here. But I also subscribe to the philosophy of art as being global, cinema as being global. One of my favorite filmmakers of all time is Yasujiro Ozu, and it's Japanese. I don't speak Japanese, but I communicate. I enjoy what he does, and so cinema is global. I don't want to only be seen as an African filmmaker.
Yeah.
I want to be seen as a global brand, a global filmmaker that can tell stories that anybody around the world can enjoy and understand.
Excellent. I agree with you. Taiwo, one of the common threats of your films is violence, police brutality, and corruption. Why? What brings a God-believing psychology student to these tropes?
Interesting that you would ask. I think mostly because I'm affected by the things that I see around me. And these are the narratives. You see, the people who trained me in filmmaking, the kinds of people that I followed, people like Femi Odugbemi and Tunde Kelani, these are all filmmakers who made films for social change. Filmmakers who commented on the politics of the day, of the culture of the day. And in many ways, I'm influenced by those people. And even when I watch the genre films from people like Tarantino, Denis Villeneuve, I'm picking their subtle criticisms of culture, subtle political commentaries there and there. And so I'm just trying to do that in my own context as well, making my commentaries on culture and politics via uh, um, a religious or spiritual sense, if I'll use that word.
Mm-hmm.
Morality, very, very important to me. And so that blend is really what I have going there.
Okay, and I'm glad you can do that freely. And Taiwo, most of my favorite films are low budget, okay, or relatively low budget, which forces the makers of that film to be good in the writing, in the filmmaking, in the acting for the actors. if you would have all the budget you would like, how would you evolve? So what would you do that you have not been doing because of budget?
Okay, I absolutely agree with you on the value of low budget filmmaking. I personally also enjoy low budget filmmaking, and I usually joke to my friends, if you're learning to make films in my context, then your favorite films can't be the DC comic, Marvel, summer blockbuster kind of films. Those are lovely for holiday viewers, but if you're a filmmaker and you're trying to learn how to tell stories with not with your resources, then you need to really love global cinema and it's low budget around the world. So I I subscribe to that as well, and I think I'll keep. I think what will really change is that bigger budgets will mean I'll be able to do the things I already do in a better way. I wouldn't change how I am committed to my stories. I still treat every of my film as I would treat my no budget film. In Ibadan will get as much as attention as A Fire and the Moth. For example, I'll still spend years developing. I'll still spend all my energy trying to get the set pieces to work, to get the editing to work. So for me, having more money allows me to pay my people better. It allows me to spend more time doing the things I want to do, but I'll generally still be doing the things I'm currently doing.
Good, and you do very well. Taiwo, I see a lot of Tarantino and a lot of Denis Villeneuve in your films. Is there any other influence I'm missing? What are your three top directors and movies?
I mean, you mentioned those two. I consider them really extremely excellent filmmakers, and I would mention a Nigerian filmmaker because he had such a profound impact on my life personally and also in my education as a filmmaker, and that's Tunde Kelani.
Okay.
He's made very great Nigerian films about Yoruba culture and religion, and he was the one who taught me that I have a responsibility as a filmmaker to make films that drive cultural change. And so I reference a lot of my films around greed to the things he's done. In fact, I name some of my characters around the same names he gives his own characters.
Ah,
Yeah. I'm always making those meta narratives between my films and his films. I absolutely love Japanese filmmaker Yasujiro Ozu. He was the one who gave me the confidence to really tell films um, without fear for Western storytelling conventions, without thinking Hollywood. He made a film called Tokyo Story where the camera doesn't move. And I was really stunned when I discovered that. So Yasujiro Ozu, Tunde Kelani are the filmmakers I would say. I love a lot of them. Ashghar Farhadi in Iran. I
okay.
love his human interest stories and how he's able to treat the common man with so much morality. I love those filmmakers. So yeah, many of them, but Tarantino and Denis really are kind of people I absolutely study right now.
All right. Tell you what, in the beginning of the film, there's the following Bible quote: "They saw the wind, and they shall reap the whirlwind. The standing grain has no head; it shall yield no flour. If it were to yield, strangers will devour it." I attribute this quote to the desperation of the situation that the film depicts. What did you mean by that quote?
That's from Hosea, I think chapter 6 or 3, thereabouts. And that verse was talking about the consequences of actions. And in the story, we have characters who will all take certain decisions and they will reap the reward for the decisions that they make. And that's really the story from beginning to everybody's making decisions and everybody's finding out, the consequences of, and that's what I wanted to communicate really. That if you, there's a quote in the film spoken by the professor. She says, "If you mess with the head, you mess with destiny."
Ah.
And that's also a parallel is in Yoruba religion and also in the Bible, where we try to run away from consequences, but consequences will always find us. You sow the wind, you will definitely reap the whirlwind. And I was just trying to enforce that on the audience from the first frame.
They'll get to you. One of the things I I love the most about the film are the mannerisms, okay? The mix of English and local languages in the same sentence, which probably reflects the reality in Nigeria, or the way in which the farmer tells her daughter to shut up like that, like when we would do like that and things like that, right? But there's a scene which depicts one of the local things which escapes me. Okay, and it's a scene at the beginning of the film, which in which Saba is outside Opa's house. Okay, he's going to retrieve something, and there's a line of people singing in the night, which in a kind of magical way. What does that depict? Is it a working song? Is it related to some kind of witchcraft? Witchcraft? What is that?
I like the fact that you found that point, because not many people do ask me about that,
Okay.
and it was something that we added just very recently into the draft of the story. And that came from me watching No Country for Old Men again, and seeing the part where the Mexican band singers make a song, and that song was in a way speaking to the character that, oh, you are going to be in trouble because you've done this and you've done that. And I tried to find a kind of play a reference of that on my story as well. And I remember that there are this Yoruba religion tradition where at night, certain nights in the year, they do things we call oro, which are um, events, activities done by the Yoruba initiates in that religion to ward off evil or to carry out sacrifices to the gods and to really keep the community together. And that felt like a good parallel for me to play, because the chants they are making there in that scene, these are warning chants, and they were actually performed by actual Ifa priests that practice.
Okay.
And I called them, do you have chants that warn about danger? Because Saba is just about to begin his journey. And so they told me, yeah, we have this chant. I said, just give me that chant. And they started the chant, and it was really exciting. And we shot it in the University of Ibadan. All the neighbors came out and were like, are you turning our school into a sacrificial ground or something? It was really interesting. So it was all about just playing another symbolism into what we're doing.
Okay, so there's a subtext of warning Saba, although he
Exactly.
is totally unaware of it. Very good,
Exactly.
very well played. Another thing that is fascinating is the characters in the film, right? The criminals, which I think in South Africa they're called Tsotsi. I don't know how they're called in Nigeria, but the mannerisms of Opa, okay, all this thing that he has with his mouth and all these things. The contractor, which is a bit the consequences impersonated, yeah. Francois and his greediness and entitlement, but maybe the most intriguing is Abike. She could reflect a bit the people of Nigeria that suffers the consequences, but she also gets involved with the wrongdoing when she sees that there's some money to be done. So both consequences, deserved and undeserved, and she has also this instinct to go somewhere else, right? She says she wants to go to US or Canada. Am I wrong in attributing to a BK the people of Nigeria a little bit?
I mean, you're absolutely correct. The goal is always to tell the human story and tell it in a very balanced way. And I've been the proponent of uh, not simply kicking the can down the road as to what are we supposed to believe about ourselves. I believe a lot in agency. And when I look at Africa and Nigeria, I say Africans can do better for Africans. I mean, we can talk about the West all day, but let's talk about what Africans can do for Africa. And that's where I stand, really. So for me, Abigail represents the Nigerian who is affected, genuinely affected by the problems that we all face, the poverty, the corruption, the moral decadence, and occasionally is moved by that situation to also participate. And then you see her saying that thing where she wants to japa. Japa is a big thing in Nigeria right now, where we're losing. I mean, I've lost almost my friend group to Canada and USA in the last 3 years because everybody's just moving for a better place and for a better world elsewhere. And so she represents that yearning for a better land. But oftentimes, in our yearning in this part of the world, we sometimes dip our hand in corruption, we participate in the decadence in one way or the other, just because we're trying to get out. And that, to me, is a story is a tragedy of the moral issue we have in this part of the world, where it's not just the leaders, but it's affected the culture and how we see wealth, how we interact with our culture. So even when she sees something of value, like the Bronze Age, she's thinking of how can I use this for my own good and not to keep it for future generations to enjoy. So to me, very powerful character there in my current commentary on the Nigerian culture.
Yes, and she's played by a very, very good actress.
Yeah.
Also, the character knows the value not only monetarily, but actually she's educated, and
Yes.
she's capable to know the intrinsic value of that, right? And for the people, and for the culture of the country. Taiwo, to me, this film has a dual protagonism. On one side, we have Saba, but to me, on the other, we have Teriba, because who is the Nigeria we would like to see, right? He's a heroic figure that tries to the right thing. Do you agree on this dual protagonism, or is something that I invented? Um,
I mean, I really think it's such a profound comment you've made. I've never seen it that way. I mean, when I was on an interview, I was asked who's my favorite character, who am I most similar to? I said I'm most similar to Teriba. And so, in many ways, Teriba does represent the other kind of Nigerian, the other kind of human in this situation who just wants to do his job, who just wants to do the right thing. And the fatalism of the moment has also caught up with him. In trying to do the right thing, he's gotten himself mixed up with people who have no conscience, people who have no, who just represent consequence, and he's a victim of that situation. And that's also a reality of doing life in this part of the world. It's very possible that your goodness upsets the wrong people.
well, that
And
happens a little bit everywhere. Taiwo.
everywhere,
Yeah.
to be very honest with you, everywhere. So he represents that archetype for me. And in many ways, I think he's almost a protagonist in his own way. He doesn't get a full arc like Saba does, but he represents some sort of the fatal hero that that is a story like this needs to not just be about nihilism and everything. We also need people who represent the right thing.
Yeah,
So absolutely good observation by you.
I think it's you. There are pieces of brilliance in the film, like when Abike says to Opa, "Don't you have a daughter?" And she makes like a face, like and things like that, Or the conversation within the contractor and Ibrahim, right? He's trying
Yeah,
to tell him,
yeah.
"We'll have a good time." Yeah, and the other guy is almost pressing already. Um, is all that stuff in the script, or do you added some of those parts or the actors during the recording? Is there anything that you adapted during the recording?
Yeah, several things we adapt. A lot of the performances you see, for example, the performance with Ibrahim when he's about to be burnt and he's saying, "Oh, we have fun together." That was us getting in the moment of the scene, and we discovered, oh, this actor has a comedic range to him. And so I told him, just have fun with the lines. Let's see what you can come up with. And he did that. Also with even Saba himself. Saba was supposed to be someone who would be charismatic and talkative, but the actor came in and said, "Taiwo, I think my character can't be that person. My character has to be broody and just focus on this." And I said, "I agree with you. I think you're right." So many of the things you see has come from a collaboration with the actors, where we are constantly talking about the story, about the character, and what feels real, what works right for that moment. So it's really a collaboration between myself and the actors at this point.
Okay, very good. Tio, as soon as I finished seeing The Fire and the Moth, I knew it made my personal list, and I am, and I put it on. I will put it on my channel. I will try to interview you, etc. And I am very excited for the next title. Please tell us in what you're working now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you doing that. It's an honor. I'm working on quite a number of things. I have many things I'm cooking at the same time. I have a story called Dry Country, which examines illegal mining up north and south Nigeria. Also looking at a faith-based thriller as well. So I have quite a number of things I'm working on, but nothing I can speak extensively about because it's all just based on when am I going to get the funds to make them. But definitely working on several things, and I'll be telling you if anything is coming out soon.
Yes, please. Also, I would say that the Fire and the Moth should grant grant you sufficient funds for whatever. In any financier worth his salt should should be.
That's definitely the hope, and even you can also be a financier as well. Who says you can't be a financier?
I think that would be above my pay grade. Listen,
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Taiwo, it has been an absolute pleasure having you. Okay, if you do anything else, please let us know. Before concluding, I also would like to give you my commiserations and my support regarding the persecution that Christians are suffering right now in Nigeria. I know this is a film podcast, but I'd like to.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I have a documentary coming out for next year titled Faith on Fire, where I went to Jos. That's one of the most persecuted areas in Nigeria. It's you need to be there. It's an absolute travesty, and we are praying, and I appreciate you sharing that commiseration. We are hopeful for change, and I'm making a film about that as well, and we'll keep on talking about it. Thank you very much for that.
My pleasure. Taiwo, it has been an absolute pleasure. Please, everybody, go watch The Fire and the Moth, and you'll be amazed. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.